Good evening, everyone. Holiday spending without guilty feelings. Don't we all want that? Well, let's see if we can do that. We're just in the midst of starting our holiday season, and I wanted to welcome you to a Money Date. Thanks for dropping by. My name is Anna, and I'm here every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Pacific, and I am excited for you to be here with me today. How has your week been so far? So as you're dropping on here, let me know that you are here. That way I will properly greet you. And my song of choosing for today is Holiday by Madonna. So holidays is an exciting time, but since this is a financial show, right? We're talking about money. And I've got lots of exciting ideas for you today because we got to celebrate, right? Thanks for hopping on. Hi, Wanda. How are you doing? Good to have you guys here. I just want to make sure that I could see your comments. All right. I actually don't have a microphone today, so I hope my sound is good. And yeah, so let's hop on. So Money Date, okay? Every Wednesday we hop on to together. And why in the heck do we even need to have a money date, right? Aren't you guys doing well with your finances? I hope you are, but there's always a time where you need to pause and sort of have that reset point in order to check in with yourself, right? And my whole idea about money dates and how I came about and having those was really out of my own challenges and frustrations and struggles that I wanted to be personally better with my finances, right? I work all day on helping others make smart decisions, right? But I had to find time for myself and my family, and that's how Money Date was born. Now, what I do with you here is, hi Tristan, nice to see you. Thanks for hopping on. What I do with you guys is I hopefully provide some knowledge and encourage you, but you still have to do the work in the background, okay? So that's the idea. Now, why I want you to pause and think about this on Wednesday, it's just a good day I like. But here are the 3 things, right, that we usually review every Wednesday, right? How much money did we spend since last week, right? Weekends tend to be the hardest for me because during the week, I don't have time, so I tend to do all my shopping on the weekends, right? If I don't order things online, Amazon, right? Now, so what the spending has been, doesn't matter when it actually happened, is it in line with what you actually trying to accomplish, right? So knowing what you've spent. Now, the second piece is income. I always want you to know how much money you've made and where is that income coming from. A couple of Money Dates ago, we talked about creating additional streams of income. Have you done that? Because if you have that going on, that might be something aside from your 9-to-5 job, if you have one, right? So knowing where the income comes from and what is your net, right? It's not what you make in gross, it's what you take home, right? Because income minus expenses is what's left over. And in that leftover pot is hopefully there's a component for the savings, right, that you have in terms of goals for yourself. So that is the idea of a Money Date. Those 3 simple things is something that I propose for you to start tracking. Now, how does this relate to what we're talking about today? It actually relates to it very, very simply. And I'll go into this explaining what I have in mind in terms of holidays. Now, one of the things I love to do on a Money Date is to share a money-related win. Now, a lot of times, and before I hop on here, I have to think about what has been wonderful for me in the last week in terms of me appreciating and realizing what things are great, right? Because a lot of times we focus on what's difficult and what's hard, and we don't pause and think about those positive moments, right? So it's the moment of gratitude. Now, I tie it into the finances because, I mean, let's face it, anything we do has to involve their finances somehow. So since this is a financial show, I want to tie it to that. So my money win for the week is, it's more of a observation and realization than anything. So I was traveling for a conference last week. I was in Denver, and it was a really awesome conference. I'm glad that I went, but I had an opportunity to meet with one of my mentors. Had some close time with her, and a couple of things that I was struggling with that she helped me understand. And here's what she pointed out to me. Hi, Deborah. Thanks for hopping on. Is that, and I think this can relate not just to finances. Hi, Joshua. Thanks for hopping on. Is that we get so hung up in the process of anything that you're trying to accomplish. So let me give you an example. So for example, if you're struggling with meeting your monthly obligations, right? If you're struggling with paying off the debt, and what happens is that we just kind of get involved into working on that so much and not quite seeing the result. And then what she pointed out to me is this, and she said it very simply, but it just kind of, it didn't click in my head until she said it. She says, well, why don't you focus on a result? If you want the result so bad, that should be what's driving the force. The process may be difficult. The process may be not from point A to point B. It may be point A, point C. It may be like this, right? It's not a straight line. So instead of focusing on that, right, and worrying about that it's not happening exactly like that. So if you had a plan, let's use an example of paying off debt. If you had a plan to pay off your debt by the end of the year and something came up and it didn't happen, so is that the end of the world? It's probably not. So as long as you can still stay focused on the result that you're trying to achieve, so it's anything that you want to do, that should be the target. And so for me, it was a moment of truth, because I was so much involved in the process of something that I just failed to see it. So I hope that helps you clarify some of your goals, and I hope that helps you clarify some of the things that you're trying to target for yourself. I actually hope that you have goals, right? We talk about financial goals, and many of us kind of just sort of wishy-washy about it. Financial goals are very specific targets that you set for yourself. So that is one of those things that you've got to have your eyes on a target. So that's my money win for the week. Now, you guys are hopping on here in the chat. Please drop a comment, say hello, introduce yourself. Otherwise, I don't know you visited with me and watched the show. So I would like to properly say hello. All right. Now, one of the other things that I love to share with you is a quote that is somewhat tied into the theme that we're talking about today. So holiday spending, right? So I found this quote by Haley Burton, and it reads, "There's something about a holiday that isn't much money, that isn't about how much money you spend." Okay, I want you to think about that, because we are 7 days away from one of my favorite holidays, by the way, by far in the whole year, is Thanksgiving, right? And I talk about gratitude, I talk about appreciation every Money Date. Hi, Peter, thanks for hopping on. And so are the holidays, right? The holiday season, is it all about spending money? Is it all about buying gifts? So I just want you to pause for a second and think about your behavior, right? Because it doesn't have to be. It's what you make the holiday, right? So it's the time to celebrate. Now, what I want to chat with you today, right? So we're really close to Thanksgiving, which is next week. A lot of you already started preparing. We are about 35 days or so away from Christmas. So one of the things that, instead of talking about, I was thinking about, okay, well, let's do this sort of the traditional way. Let's set up a budget that will allow us, to stay on track, and hopefully you already have that budget, right? Or spending plan, right? Budget isn't a sexy word, but I want to refer to that, to it properly. But I want you to do this a little differently this year, right? So what I'd like to propose is for the next 2 months, or we have actually 6 weeks or so, less than 2 months. I want you to take a sheet of paper and outline all of the fixed, so take a sheet of paper, divide it in half, outline all of your fixed expenses on one side, all of the variable expenses. Fixed expenses, things like mortgage, rent, car payments, things that are coming out in terms of payments every month at the same on the same date, so it's not changing. And then your variable side, things like groceries, eating out, maybe that some of that would be holiday spending, travel. I want you to have a good idea, okay? Because what I'm trying to point out to you that you could prepare even with in the next 6 weeks before the year ends, so that when the holidays are over and it's January, you're not coming out with a whole bunch of unexpected debt and unnecessary spending. So you've got your spend. I'm going to call that a holiday spend plan. Okay, you've got your basics covered. You understand where your income is coming from, and then what is left at the end of that spending plan. Hi Shannon, thanks for hopping on. So once you have that, so let me give you an example in terms of real numbers. Let's say you calculated your fixed expenses, you calculated your variable expenses, you subtracted that from, hi Acharna, thanks for watching, good to have you here. And what's left over is $500 a month, and you have month of November, and you still have December to go, okay? $500 from November and $500 from December gives you $1,000, okay, to spend on holidays. Now, it is totally up to you how you choose to spend that, right? You can buy gifts, you can travel, right? But as I'm trying to point out, it does not have to interfere with your normal operations, right? With the normal bill pay, right? With the normal variable expenses, because life still goes on, right? Even though we're gonna have such an awesome time, that's one way. Now, you're gonna say, well, Anna, all of this sounds good. The strategy itself is awesome, but there's just no way. I just do not have any discretionary dollars. No way. I'm running, very tight budget. And I understand. That's totally fine. What I don't want you to do is, hi Brett, is to pull out your credit cards, right? I don't want you to feel that you are obligated to go into debt because you have to please someone. Now, it really does depend on what the tradition is in your family, right? And if you're used to buying gifts, right? And I'm really probably here at this moment thinking about Christmas, right? And it's a tradition that you have to buy gifts for everybody. But I want you to think about this. Is it going to be really odd if you said, look, to your friends and family, I don't really need any physical gifts, right? Because I find that a lot of times things that you get from other people, I don't know, at least for me, maybe I'm just a hard person to buy gifts for. I'm very particular, right? And a lot of times I don't like to ask for things. So I just, it really works out with Yuri and I. He just says, go buy it yourself kind of a situation. So, right? But it's not like that with other people. So what if you just said that you don't really need physical gifts, right? Because what is the meaning of a physical gift? Yes, you're going to enjoy it, but then what? What memories do you have? Because I believe the best gift you can either give or receive is a gift that creates a memory that lasts forever, right? So I want you to pause and think, what can you do, right? And can you tell your friends and family, look, I don't need any physical gift. Why don't you just come out and let's spend some time together? I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind, right? In terms of creating a memory. Go somewhere, right? Instead of buying a thing, maybe you go out and have lunch, right? Yes, there is still the financial component, but something like that you can incorporate in your overall spending. You have to eat anyway. And that doesn't have to be anything fancy. But those kinds of things is something it's gonna get you more fulfillment, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not against physical buying gifts, but what I'm more concerned, and I guarantee you that in January, everybody's gonna have a New Year's resolution, and that is to get better with their finances, and one of those components is to pay the debts off. So why do we keep putting ourselves into that sort of red race, right, with the holidays and the stress and everything? I think it's going to be more of the mindset for you, right? And yes, perhaps you're going to look a little weird in front of your family and friends. Hi, Greg, thanks for hopping on. But so what? It is your life. It is what you choose to do. So I think that it's really not, if you're really up for a challenge, this is one of the challenges that I'd like you to do in the next 6 weeks that we have left of this year. Because come January 1st, what are the targets and what are the goals you have set for yourself, or yet to work on those in the next 6 weeks. So that's what I've got for you today. I appreciate you guys hopping on. Let me know in the comments your thoughts and your ideas. Now, I don't want to sound like, I'm the Grinch who's going to, steal the Christmas from you. Not at all. All I'm advocating for is for you to make smart decisions. Now, if you have plenty of discretionary dollars and want to spoil your friends and family, do that. One of the other points to make here is if you can create more income, right? And I talked to you about this as well. If you can create additional income, right? Then sure, go ahead and splurge and do all of those things that you like to do. But it shouldn't come in the detriment to your overall financial plan. And that's one thing to understand. And in today's environment, right, where it is so easy to do extra work on the side, right? I talked about this with you already. And create, if you don't want to give up those traditions that your family has, or if you want to spoil your kids or friends or family members, then go and be creative. I know you can do it, but what I want you to be really smart about is that the consequences of all those choices. I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you're enjoying the thoughts and ideas. I'll see you next week, and it's going to be right before the big day. And so I'd love to know, what are you going to do? Are you planning to cook? Are you planning to go? Are you traveling for Thanksgiving? What are some of the things that you guys love to do? And you'll have to wait until next week to find out what I'm planning to do. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week.